to the Skills Room, another podcast here, and yet we've got two guests today, not one, but two. Oh, as always, the East Coast Iniesta, Mr. Lewis Wright is with me. How are you doing, Lou?
I'm great, and I'm pleased to have two guests on today.
Would you like to introduce our guests to us today?
Yeah, we had a bit of a buy one, get one free through the youth team. We've got in the hoodie, the black and yellow hoodie, it's skipper Finn Armand. All right, Finn, how are you?
Good, thanks. You?
Yeah, fantastic, mate. And we've got the top striker, the number 9, Mr. Tom Wilkinson. How are you, Tom?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. Obviously, we're going to call him, it's going to be Finn and it's going to be Wilco. It's not going to be very formal like Finn and Tom throughout the day. So, yeah. So, how's things, boys?
They're not bad. It's very frustrating with, obviously, lockdown, but
yeah,
got to keep doing as much as we can to keep fit and ready for when we come back.
How are you finding the Gaffer's fitness program he keeps on sending through? There's a few difficult ones per day, or obviously on your training days. How are you finding them?
Wilco, you can answer that one.
Yeah, well, I feel like Finn takes it like it's the Olympics. He proper goes for it, and I ain't got anything wrong with that because I think it's healthy competition amongst the squad and amongst the team. But some of them are hard, some of them are relatively easy. But certainly for me, I've seen an improvement in my fitness level even just in lockdown.
Yeah, no, I obviously I get sent the stuff from Lee as well, the gaffer of the 19s, to send through to development squad, which I obviously coach, obviously, and having dealings with yourselves, and it's some of it's very grueling. It is good that Finn takes it too serious.
The only reason for that though is if I lose and I'm just Mardy and we got another 2 days until the next one, so it just ruins my 2 days.
He does give it the big one, doesn't he? About, I've been at work, fellas. I'm just waiting for all the results to come in and all that lot. So, hey, look, he knows what he knows what the bar's been set at, and he goes and smashes it 9 times out of 10. So today, boys, obviously, thank you for coming on off script. The stuff we want to cover is obviously your pathway into football and your journey, where it all started. Obviously, we want to cover the youth team stuff, but one of the main reasons for getting you on is it's actually 1 year anniversary today that we set off to go to America, to Phoenix last year. How really thinking back, we got there, we're so lucky, and we'll delve a lot more into that as obviously the podcast goes on, and then we'll just talk about current states as well of in the 19s and obviously the situations which you're both in. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. We'll go Finn, because I work left to right on my screen. We'll go Finn first. So how did you, and obviously Wilco, if you want to chime in as well to cover the same questions, when did it all begin? When did you start playing football, and why did you start playing football?
I've always played since I was 3. I played for my local team, Cranwell, but because I was so young, I had to play in the under 6s team, I think.
Right.
So I got a video of me running around in an under 6s kit, which is just hanging off me. So I started at 3, and then I got scouted for Lincoln when I was under 8s.
Just to chime in as well, we're not going to mention the L word that many times because you know how much it winds me up, Finn.
I'll try my best.
Yeah, we might have to come with like LCFC. No, carry on, mate.
So so I went on trial for Lincoln. I didn't get in as an under 8, and so I went straight into their shadow squad, their development team that they had. I played there alongside Cranwell for about a year, and then they put me back on trial with Lincoln at the start of under 9s, and I got in. And from under 9s to under 16s, I played for Lincoln, and then once I got released, I came to Boston.
And what a good pickup that was for us later down the line. What about yourself, Wilco? Where did it all begin?
Yeah, you see, it's quite a different story for me. I started like Finn when I was 3 years old at Soccer Stars at Cars on a Saturday morning, just 2 hours every morning learning some skills. And then when it came to under 7, I joined the Sunday League team, under 7 Caythorpe and fullback. And ironic because I had all my schoolmates there with me that then went on to be my secondary school friends as well. But we played in the Mid-Links League, most of the time the Mid-Links B League, until under 16 came, when Lee Mitchell, our current under 19s manager, invited me to sign for Boston United under 16s, and as I say, it sort of went from there.
Yeah, I actually remember the time when you come in, because I think it was at the Focus One doing about the college program, and you came along with another a lad who was really small, who seemed really keen about coming to the program, and you was like, "Oh no, I'm doing this, I'm doing that," and we didn't realise. And then I remember, obviously, when you did come to it, it was like, "Well, what happened to the little lad?" I think he'd gone to Lincoln, hadn't he?
Jack signed for Lincoln quite quickly after that.
Yeah, so I don't know what we did wrong not selling it to him, but no, we I think we got the better one out of the two, in my opinion. I might be biased,
Righty, just on that, it's interesting because the two people that we've had on the podcast so far have said that their football journey started a little bit later, whereas these are like, it started very early. So that just shows how football is moving forward, and kids at a very young age are even starting playing football, which
definitely. And I you know, how it's all evolved, because it has got younger and younger over the years. For little groups starting up. Obviously, me and Cookie, we run a session at exactly the same age, as like starting at 3. Some companies actually, start even younger, which I think is far too young. But that's my own personal opinion. But obviously, I wanted to get Wilco and Finn. I went through why earlier, but 2 different pathways into it, really. Finn went through a Centre of Excellence program. Wilco, you was a bit later in development. Correct me if I'm wrong. You just played school football, and I think you sort of peer pressured into give it a go by your mates. You're good enough. So, how was that for you? Why didn't you get picked up, or did you go to trials and stuff?
So yeah, perhaps my biggest problem during my, let's call them, the younger years of playing football was my own self-confidence, in that let's say I missed one chance at the start of the game, which as a striker you do, because you don't score every single one of them, and that my head would go down straight away. Even at secondary school, playing school football, my biggest enemy was myself, and I couldn't get myself into that mindset of I'm here, I'm in the team because I deserve to be. It was always sort of in the back of my mind that, I'm just filling the place, or I'm only here because someone said I should be, or whatever. But I never managed to get myself to believe in what I was doing until sort of under 16, when my Mr. Offer, our manager that won the National Cup with us in school, which I know we'll talk about later, he said to me, I remember that September, he said, "Right, you're going to be the striker." And that was the first time that any manager had said to me, "Right, you're going to have that position." And sort of as soon as that happened, it was like, right, I'm going to do this now. And 3 months later, Lee comes along, picks me up, brings me into Boston, and then I got into the county team, county schools football, and it absolutely went from there.
Yeah, it just takes getting that little bit of belief, just to instill it in yourself to push yourself forwards. So I know firsthand, because I've seen them pitch side and at the games, but you've both got really good family support and family backing. Wilco, I think it's your granddad who would take you to places, even for the 19 games. And Finn, your family, They're like the Wimbledon bunch. They're like the crazy gang. I remember the FA Youth Cup this year. Like, we've just had poor old Joey Hardstaff. Shout out to Joe. He got a serious injury, and he's still out today with it. He got took to the car, and all I can remember from helping Joe out the doors at Gainsborough Trinity into his parents' car was Finn's fan club shouting, "Where's Finn?" Like, banners a lot. It was crazy. We love you, Finn. Where's Finn? But has it always been like that, Finn, for you?
Yeah, definitely. My family's a massively sporting family. My dad played loads of sports. He played football, rugby, everything. My granddad did as well. So even from a young age, all my football matches, I'd have my dad there, my granddad there, my mum there. And when it gets to the big games, then I get a lot of the extended family come down to watch as well, which is it's only a good thing, really. And it just makes you want to perform a lot better when you see your whole family watching you on the sidelines.
To be fair, mate, I thought it was fantastic. I think that's that's what it's about. Same with you, Wilco, really, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly when I was younger, I went to a few trials I think I had 2 at Lincoln City, both open trials, and was turned away both times. But sort of a few years before I did eventually join Boston, I was asked to come on trial with you guys, and I said no. But that was out of the fact that I still didn't believe that I should be doing that and pushing myself to that level. And my parents were sort of instrumental in the fact that they didn't push me to go sooner than I was ready to go and join with the better levels of players. I needed to build myself before I could go and play with them. And my parents were very keen to not push me too quickly.
Parents, kudos to parents because they do support the kids, and it is a big thing. Obviously, when you're playing with your mates, like you said, Wilco, your mates were there. It's good playing with your mates, but sometimes when you get scouted for these teams, it's not your mates, it's something different. So if you're not quite ready and you don't feel confident to go and play there, it's probably the right thing not to be pushed into it, because at the end of the day, we don't want young players to fall out with a love of the game. We want them to develop at their own rate, really.
Yeah, talk about obviously the love of the game, and going on to sort of the next sort of section of it. Obviously, Wilco, you've touched on Lee Mitchell getting you involved with the under-19 squad, playing the National League. Finn, you came in a year sooner, a year earlier, during the 18-19 season. I'll get to the stats in a bit, which I've had to source out and not Christian James like we normally use. So I've been researching today about it. And, you came in the 18-19 season quite early. Obviously, you touched on that you was released by the team that you ultimately support. How did it feel to get released from something that means so much to you? It might not mean so much to me, Finn, and you know that, but it means so much to you. How did it make you feel? But obviously, how did it make you feel having, you had a second opportunity at something?
Devastating, really. It broke me heart. I played for them since I was 8 years old. I'd supported them all my life. All I've ever, I always pictured my next few years would be I get a scholarship. Then when I got a scholarship, then I get a pro, and then I played for Lincoln. And especially the way that we got released, because we had such a good season. At Lincoln, we won the National Cup, and we were playing against teams that were in the Premier League. We were playing against Norwich, West Ham, Arsenal, Leicester, and they released our squad, and the players that they brought in were them Premier League clubs, which we were getting results against. So when you see, especially when we just got released, and a week later you see the players that you've played against and they're wearing your shirt, it was a hard thing to get over. But that's sort of where your family comes in, because I've got a really supportive family. They were sort of like, they helped me to get back into it and say, these low times will only make the hard times feel even better. And so you just got to use how you felt then to drive yourself, and not make sure that you don't feel like that again.
I'm guessing there wasn't much of a gap between you getting released and then coming in for us. So
No,
You know,
so
not a lot of dwelling time on it.
as soon as I got released, so I got released, I think it was 14th of December, and then there was the exit trials, which were just after Christmas. So I went straight to them, and I came on trial with Boston probably about 2 or 3 weeks after I got released. Because there was still like a delay times where we'd been released, but we were still playing. So we played like 3 or 4 more games as released players.
Right.
And I came on trial with Boston. When I came to Boston, I really enjoyed it, and I realised that I've got to the point where them 8 years that I had at Lincoln, I was at the same place playing with the same players with the same coaches in academy football. When I come to Boston, I'm playing with older players. I'm playing with a mixture of players that are playing with the first team because I'm in the youth team now, and I'm playing in a different league against different teams which I've never played against before. So it only adds another string to your bow.
Yeah. What was obviously Lee a big influence in you making the move across? I know he was for Wilco. He was sort of handpicked. Was it for you as well? You saw what he was about. I know obviously I work alongside the gaffer, and he's for me he's spot on. He's top quality to work alongside. So what was it like for you? In fact, Wilco, you chime in as well if you've got anything what you could add.
So, I had a meeting with Lee just before I came in on trial, literally about probably half an hour before my first session, and I just really liked the way that he thought about things, because there was a few of us that were coming on trial, and he understood like the situation that we were in. We wanted to have the best option for us, so we were looking at other clubs, and he respected our decisions and what we wanted to achieve, because there was other players who were thinking, oh, I just want to focus on my education, or I want to carry on playing football, or I want to go to the Lincoln Shadow squad or whatever. So he sort of offers you what Boston could offer you, show what he could bring to the table, and let you make your decision.
Yeah, nice.
Right, you just going back a little bit on that, Finn. That must have been so strange playing for Lincoln after you'd been released.
It was the thing is
weird.
We actually played Notts County 3 times in 4 weeks because we couldn't get a game. So literally, we were just going home and away to Notts County for 3 or 4 weeks as released players. But the difference between just the mindset of people, before we won the National Cup, we beat Bournemouth in the final that week, got released the week after, and then we were playing against Notts County, who were back in our league, who we normally play. We've beaten before, and we've played them for years, and we were getting spanked 5 or 6-0 because no one's hearts or heads were in the game.
Yeah, it must, like I say, Cookie, agree with you. It must have been so strange to put on a shirt, for a fact, you especially put in, and that's a credit to yourself for being so professional like you are in what you do. I know we was joking about it earlier about him wanting it like the Olympics, but that's a great mindset to have as a young lad, and it should be brushing off if, I don't know, say under 16s, 15s, 14s are listening, and the academy, think, I need to have the same mentality if I need to get to where obviously likes of Finn and Wilco are at.
Yeah, right. Obviously, Finn, you had to keep playing to the best of your ability, because you obviously, when scouts might have been at them games knowing that you've been released, so you're still putting yourself out in the shop window, kind of, aren't you?
I sort of looked at it as it's a bit cliche, but just a game at a time. It's just another game the next week. It's just another 90 minutes where you can play football. It's basically how I was looking at it, and just use the time to the best of my ability, really.
Yeah. So obviously, Finn, you came onto the club, and you obviously you did that whilst you were still doing your studies at Cars, where obviously Wilco's was at as well, and then you had the decision to make. Obviously, Finn, you took the decision to do the BTEC route at Boston College. Wilco, you stayed put to do A levels. Is there any part of that decision which was difficult? If you want to go into that.
Yeah, so I decided that I wanted to play football. having had the success that we'd had the previous season in the school team, that me and Finn were in together, that sort of gave me the bug, and I was like, right, I want to do this, and I can do this. And so I had many conversations with Lee, and said, look, I'm really keen to pursue the next 2 years with the youth team, but I also want to get my A levels. Obviously, I had to stay in sixth form for that, so I had a conversation with Mr. Law, our head teacher, and said, look, I want to be able to do this. I don't particularly want to leave school just yet, but I desperately want to play football. I want to get my A levels, but I want to play football. So we sort of came to a bit of a compromise in that I'd get Monday afternoons, it was last year, to come and train with the youth team, and then I'd get the whole day off on Wednesday to go and play the games. And I think that balance, it fell into place perfectly.
Good job you get the whole day off, because there's a few treks involved. When you're going up to Fylde, and it turns out it's about 4 hours there, 4 hours back. Up in a minibus. It's a full day, isn't it? And talking about that, I say obviously Finn's doing his BTEC through the college which you train in 3 days a week, and play. I think it's only Thursday you have off. Talking about the league that you're playing in, Finn, you touched on it about different teams and stuff. How have you found playing under 19 National League football? Because when Finn first started, you was playing against like satellite teams. I remember one team which was a Norwich City team, which was actually they played out of Cambridge way. So it wasn't really Norwich City. In effect, it was a satellite centre club. Whereas the National League got all the National League teams and basically made this Super League, and it's very, very competitive, very difficult. How you boys found it?
When I firstly came out of Lincoln, I've been coached academy football for 8 years, so coming in to play against some satellite teams, and I was an under 16 playing under 19, so I was nervous at the start, and then as soon as I got some minutes, I realised that because them teams were a bit lower down, you could play your academy football in that squad, in that team, because there was the gaps all over the place, and you could actually get on the ball, and I was looking like a good player. So going up to the National League as a under 19, I sort of going into it as the mindset, I can get on the ball and dictate the play like I was as a 16. Like I'm a year older. Why can't I do it again? And then we played Fylde, the first game of the season at the stadium. And we lost 3-1. And I remember just about 15 minutes in, I tried to get on the ball in midfield a few times and get closed down straight away. You had 3 men up your back. You couldn't draw fouls, which is what that's how I get out of things. I draw fouls. So I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I had to adapt my game, and them players that we were playing against were the winger that we played against started for the first team at the weekend, and we were playing against third years who had been playing in the National League for quite a few years, and they were tight-knit groups that have played together. So it's a massive
a lot of the teams that season were what we found out, because obviously we get the team sheet with date of births on and stuff, and they were very third year heavy, and we were very first and second year heavy, very heavy in first years, obviously with you guys coming in. So it's been really difficult. How you found it, Wilco? Because I tell you now, you would have scored a hatful of goals in the league previous.
Even I scored.
Even Finn scored, so that says a thing.
Yeah, well, obviously for me, it was quite a big step up from the Mid-Links B League to the under 19 National League. That was quite a big jump, and I scored and missed a penalty in that first game that Finn was talking about a minute ago, and obviously I went round the keeper and scored in the first half, and then to miss a penalty in the second half, and then ultimately us to go on to lose. That was quite difficult for me to take at that point, because I thought, right, that's me done pretty much. I've messed up in that I didn't score the penalty. But as a striker, you have to put yourself there in order to score in the first place. And we'll go on to talk about penalties a bit later, I'm sure we will, Finn. But I then went on a bit of a, well, for me, what was a bit of a goal drought. I didn't score for 2 months after that first game. And I remember sitting there and thinking to myself, this is hard. I'm against centre-backs they're bigger than me, they're taller than me, they're faster than me. And so that was when I think Lee really stepped in on sort of a personal level with me to give me more of a football education that I'd not had previously, because I'd not had that centre of excellence upbringing. Yeah. And once that had started to develop and I was understanding more about why I was making the runs I was making, how to make a curved run for someone in the Midlands B League, that's not done. You're just running straight lines, and it's as fast as you can get to the goal, you score. And so I started to learn a bit more about how to actually play. And once I did that, then I sort of settled into the level a bit more.
Yeah, it must have been very, very new to you. I don't, and there might be, I might be speaking out of turn here, but I don't think there's many Midlands B teams who are doing shape work throughout the week and trying to predict play and, you know, which way to show people and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but obviously when we have the benefit of having day in, day out working with players, it's a little bit different, but obviously a bit easier for us. So obviously the goals come back for you. Which it was always going to. As my dad always told me when I was a kid, cream always rises to the top. So with that being said, with obviously the National League and stuff, FA Youth Cup, we were actually fortunate this season to get three out of the 4 games being FA Youth Cup, which is obviously a massive thing. Third years can't play in it, which is unfortunate. So you can play 15 from 16-year-olds. So it's more of an under 18 type competition. You know, how was it for you? Did you realise how sort of big a thing it was, or was it just another game in Finn's eyes?
Are you asking me or Wilker?
Any of you. You try and talk about your FA Youth Cup experience. Did it live up to expectations? Was it as big as what you thought it was going to be?
The second one, yeah. As we played as a second year, the first year was a disaster.
Yeah.
But the second year, especially as I was captain as well, I sort of felt an increased amount of pressure to perform, and I think because we were quite a mixed squad. Like we had quite a lot of new players come in. So I thought after the West Bridgeford game, I was like, oh, we're looking actually quite good here. We could do something. And then especially after the Grantham game, because it was such a strong team performance. It wasn't the best game to watch or anything, but the team was there, and it sort of propelled us through, which helped us in the league get a win in the league. And then we had the Notts County game, which was great feeling walking out at Gainsborough's ground with my fan club, and I thought that the team spirit that we showed, because we had the corona stuff that happened that day, so we had a really reduced squad. I thought the way that we represented Boston that day was incredible, and the way that we lost was a bit bad, but
yeah,
you still got to look past it, I think.
As you said, the what many people probably watching on, because it was streamed that night as well, the Notts County, which was like an awesome thing, which has never been done really for youth team before. You know, for about 11 o'clock that day to then get told by the education providers that one person's phoned up who's been off for 2 weeks and 10 days, I think it was actually, and he's now tested positive. And obviously it was still unknown. I still think it is the unknown about it all, of what to do for the best. And I think it wiped out 6-7 players, and not meaning they got COVID, that they couldn't be around the place, which meant they couldn't come to the game.
And they were important players as well.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
very important players. Yeah,
we were playing. Was it Lewis Allen, a striker? He hadn't played for the team before, and he was starting in centre mid.
yeah. And to be fair to him, he put a shift in there really.
Yeah.
And kudos to Lewis for actually stepping in. I know for a fact that we did get older 316 under 16s. They'd literally walked out of school, got a phone call.
Yeah.
Get home quickly because we need to get you across to Gainsborough.
Didn't one of them turn up in his uniform? I swear one of them did.
One of them turned up in the school uniform. That's correct. Yeah.
Righty.
Which a lot of people obviously don't realise from obviously watching the stream what's gone on and how that sort of impacted. Hey, look, no excuses. We went out. You guys put an absolute shift in against Notts County, and we were really, really unlucky. They got the goal, which ultimately wins the game, but we had chances, and what could have been going into the next round.
Right, I was just going to say on that Notts County game. To be fair, I was there obviously as part of the match day staff, sanitising stuff and on that side of things. And I don't usually see you guys because I'm usually busy doing something else when you're playing your games, and don't usually get the joys of trekking so far away with you. But that night, the level that I expected to see and the level that I saw from both teams was massively different to what I thought I was going to see. The team spirit, like you say, the togetherness, and just the tactical way you played was higher expectation than I thought I was going to see that night. Maybe, like you say, that's because you play in that National League. But yeah, it was a lot better than I thought it was.
It was and you had at least a week on it as well. I say a week, if you count the amount of days which we do actually train. But throughout that week period, you'd been well drilled, and you knew your roles and responsibilities. And the good thing that the gaffer did, he did put other people in those positions, which sort of, as a just in case moment. So people did step in. We played it in the three different sections that we did, and where we would give it, in the third part of it, where we would actually go and push to get that goal. It was just a shame it just come before we was about to enter that period, but the game plan went to sort of nearly to perfection, nearly paid off, and obviously we did get a lot of plaudits from Notts County, who said that was one of the best games they've been given, tactically as well. So
their manager, Notts County manager, I was refereeing the next day, and he was watching, and he came up to me after the game, and he was like, "We weren't expecting you to play that way, and the way that you were playing, how drilled you were. We were getting ready for penalties because they didn't think that they'd be able to do it."
No, they couldn't break us down. But fair play to you. And touching on that FA Youth Cup, it was a good journey, like you say, this season. You played West Bridgeford, where Waddo got a couple of goals for us. Did you score in that one, Wilco?
No, Ben did.
I should have done, yeah.
That was the Dennis Benkamp.
Yeah, that's it. And then I'll ask him again on this one. Then we played Grantham, which is, you've got to love to play in like local games, local derby matches, and everyone went in with that mindset, local derby. Grantham was up for it. I've never seen so many people on a bench in my life for them. And Wilco, did you score in that game?
Only 3.
Only 3.
Only.
That night has got to be up there for me with one of my proudest and probably best moments in football, in that my preparation, as I was thinking something special is going to happen tonight, and sometimes you get those feelings, don't you? And it happened, and as soon as I got fouled for that first penalty and I stuck it in and give it the Neil Mupe celebration, I thought, right, tonight's the night. This is the one. And then obviously we scored the second goal, and as soon as we get the third penalty, I remember Finn's come up to me and said, "Oh, can I have it?" I went, mate, no chance, no chance. You're not taking this. And I was only ever going to stick it in the same corner, and the keeper dives the other way. And when you come off the pitch, match ball under your arm, and the Boss United legend that is Chris Cook's there to say, mate, that was fantastic. I mean, it was a brilliant night. And I think for the whole squad, it was really that sort of uplift that we'd all needed.
Yeah, we'll touch on that bond about you and Cookie in a bit actually when we're talking about America. Go on, Finn. What was you saying to say?
I was just gonna say it sort of shows the team that we've built this year, like the team ethic, because that was only our second game, and after that game in the change rooms, everyone was dancing, singing, jumping all over the benches and everything. We had such a strong team.
Funny you should mention that, Finn, because actually down on the notes, what I've got, I've actually got about the camaraderie, about the camaraderie on the minibus, and obviously Jason and Butch was talking about a few stories from the youth team days and stuff, and you're very much well in it at the minute. Luckily, Cookie, Finn is one of those people in the training room. He likes to get everyone all pumped. And all it takes is one little water bottle like this, and gets put to his mouth, and a beat dropping, and you've just lost him.
It's mental.
Skipper has gone.
Is he like the City lot with Wonderwall?
Oh, no, I'm an MC.
He's an MC.
MC.
He starts doing all this, and he gets all the boys going, and and then a beat drops, and then he kicks it in. Finn, if you want to start rapping now, mate, if you got that beat on your phone, please do it now.
No, you can't put me on the spot.
Oh, by the way, guys, coming soon to the channel, MC Finn.
Yeah, I think Vice Captain Brogan, I'm sure he may have a video of it, so we might have to have a word with him.
There's a few videos of it.
Yeah.
Wilco's got one of West Bridgeford.
I've got one.
Oh yeah. Well, you send that to Cookie afterwards. We'll get it on the channel. Honestly, we'll give everyone an uplift. But that's the job of a skipper, on and off the pitch. Get that team ethos, that team spirit up, and people perform. And there's nothing worse than going into a silent change room.
Nothing
worse. Yeah. So you've got to have something.
In our first year, Finn, I think you'll probably agree there was absolutely a clear sort of the second years and the first years. It was two groups, as in, well, we all sat on different sides of the change rooms back at York Street. You remember what it's like, in that there's two sort of rooms in the changing room there, and there wasn't that integration. And this year, I think, and that's definitely part to Finn and Bro's efforts to bring the team together and to have this sort of united atmosphere in the changing rooms, which then obviously contributes to how we play on the pitch.
Yeah, 100%. I get that, and I've even played in teams where there is that divide, and you just think, are you going to go out and fight for me? Are you are you with us or whatever? So it does make a massive difference. So obviously we're covering youth team stuff. We won't probably put people on the spot of their initiation videos singing on the bus. We won't put that on the channel.
Okay, well, I think we should give Owen Sheriff some credit, because no one asked him to do it and he just stood up and did it.
That's big. Letting your hair down, and just being one of the boys. That's what football is all about, and a lot of people who listen on probably can relate to that as well. So that's pretty much used to. Let's go over a few accolades and stats. So I'll give you stats for Boston, then we'll touch on the Cars Grammar stuff, because I know it was a massive deal to both of you. So Finn, obviously I've got on my notes here as well. Happy birthday for yesterday as well. He was 18 yesterday, Cookie. I just think I've known him as a 16, 17 and 18-year-old now, and hopefully we'll see him in the 19s as well. So Finn, your stats, 18-19 season, you made 6 appearances, 2 starts, 4 as a sub. We'll touch on what happened in that season in a minute. 1920 season, you made 13 appearances, which was 1 sub appearance, and you got 1 goal.
Whoop.
And yeah, but he also scored a worldie out in the States as well. I don't know whether to count that one or not, but it was pretty special. As we was all very tired at that time, it sort of boosted us all. Wilco, same season, you made 10 appearances, 2 which were sub. You got 4 goals, and you was 2nd top goal scorer that year, behind Will Jackson. And you also got 2 goals in America, which again we don't know whether you assisted. Obviously, this season, Wilco with the 3 goals against Grantham, and we spoke about obviously the games. You've had 1 league game, Halifax, and then you played West Bridgford, Grantham, and Notts County. So so that's the accolades for Boston and your stats. So in 2019, on that 18-19 season, you both was part of the national champions, which was the Premier League Elite Schools Cup, representing Carr's Grammar School. Just a shame they wear red and white as well, which upsets me. So you beat Shropshire School Thomas Telford, and you played at Man City's Academy Stadium. Which was you meant to play at the Etihad? I thought there was rumour you was meant to play at the Etihad.
We were supposed to have a tour at the Etihad in the morning, but there was loads of road closures and we missed it, so we only got there for kick-off.
Yeah, that's it. Because there was a delayed kick-off, I was reading earlier. So obviously under 16s to win something like that, you won on penalty kicks in sudden death. Wilco, did you take one? Finn, did you take one?
Yeah. Both took a penalty. Both scored. Yeah.
That's a relief. That's not awkward then. So obviously, congratulations to you. But I know how much it meant, and fantastic for the area of Lincolnshire as well to have the team win that out of so many teams. Finn, obviously within that season, you'd actually made an appearance for Boston, and I believe ball went up in the air. You went up. You came down first, and somebody came down. It was against Eastwood, and they fell on top of you and basically crushed your face, Finn. What can you remember? Because obviously it then put the National Cup in jeopardy for you. So if you want to just talk about that.
If I'm honest, I can't really remember a thing from it,
which is understandable.
Yeah. So I think it was only about 6 weeks before the cup final, and I do remember coming home from the hospital, and I hadn't actually seen my face yet, and obviously they told me, you've broken your nose and your cheek and whatever, and it was all messed up. And then I actually looked at myself in the mirror, and it was out here purple, black, it was all colours, and then I was gutted because I didn't think I was playing. So.
And what about you, Wilco? What was you thinking at the time when he's probably Snapchatting pictures of himself looking like the Everton man?
Yeah. So obviously Finn was our captain for that team as well, and what Finn did for the team wasn't just winning the ball back; it was winning the fouls when we were under pressure. It was really that driving force behind that season. I think in the fact that every single run I made, Finn's finding me and putting us through on goal, and to hear that not just our captain but also my mates being involved in something that is potentially going to put our chances of winning this, which our school hadn't won in its entire existence. And obviously my dad being a teacher at Carr's as well, which isn't ideal for me, but he's had 2 teams across his 20 odd years of being a teacher that have got to the national final and lost twice. So having the level of talent we had in that team and to have not reach the final in those 6 years that we were at Cars, people were looking at us thinking we'd been a bit of a disappointment.
It was a bit
And-
criminal.
And then in that final year, absolutely, yeah, for that final year, for us to finally reach the final, but 7 weeks before, to hear that the captain's potentially not going to be playing, there was inevitably some unrest in the entire team, and that's when some of our other players sort of stepped up to say, right, lads, it's going to be all right. We're going to find a way, and we're going to beat this lot.
Yeah, well, it was a massive loss for obviously yourself, but it was a massive loss for Boston at the time because he was just coming to his own, and he was just showing, and he was flourishing in the centre of the park. And we wanted him to kick on. Obviously, he got the injury. You end up wearing a face mask.
Yeah, so
you was touch and go whether he's going to have surgery or not. And you've probably told this story 1,000 times. But it's touch and go whether you're going to have surgery. You wore the face mask. You got an okay to play with it. And how lucky was you, to actually then wear that and go on to win it? It must have been extra sweet.
It just puts the cherry on top, I think. When I was playing and like the Telford fans were singing about me wearing a mask and whatever, it's for that you got a plant pot on your face and stuff like that. But it just made the day even better.
Yeah, even sweeter. No, obviously you've got great memories, and memories that will last a lifetime for you. And you've won the big one. You won the match, and obviously with you talking about the pressure from the school and stuff. Obviously,
I think for the team as well, because a lot of the team had played at Lincoln with me, and it was just after, so it was sort of like everyone was proving themselves, proving Lincoln wrong.
A final hurrah, really.
Yeah.
In some ways, but no, absolutely quality. So, obviously, one of the main reasons to get you on today, like I said early in the podcast, it's a year today since we was setting off very, very early in the morning, making that long journey across to Phoenix. What an experience. And to be fair, I was scrolling back through the WhatsApp group what was created to just pick up, try and remember stuff. I've got the main memories, but just going through it, and I was like, I'm so buzzing we got these two on, because it's just refreshed my memory of everything what went on. Talk to us, far away, because I know for a fact it made a lasting impression on you both. Talk about it all. Obviously, I've got the stats with the games and stuff like that, and the sort of the schedule what we went through, which was very grueling. But how was it for you both?
It was awesome. That's the only way I can describe it. And we stayed with Mark, Finn's family friends. He treated us incredibly. I'd never been away from home for that long without my family. I'd uncharted territory, but it was the experience of a lifetime.
What about you, Finn?
It was incredible. I've been to Phoenix before, but I've never been on a sports tour to America or anything like that, and it was just something that I never expected to be so good. It was incredible, like the way that we were treated, the facilities, the team that we were playing against, the experience, even just like the traveling with the whole team and stuff. It was just a big laugh, really. It was, and then playing against state champions every day. It was literally my dream. I was playing on these incredible pitches in 30-degree heat in America against state champions. It didn't really get much better.
Yeah, it was absolutely surreal. I remember the first night, and we're at the complex, and you're looking across, and you're thinking, what an unbelievable backdrop! Like this is just normal.
The mountains behind the pitches,
and the mountain. It was just a beautiful occasion. And going from a 17-seater minibus traveling to Fylde or Chester or these other teams were playing, and we're on an aeroplane for 12 hours going across the pond to Phoenix. you know, and we had kids there. I think it was Ben Johnson, the youth team, and who else was it? I think
Nath.
Could have been Nath or Keane or someone like that. They'd never ever been on like an aeroplane before, never flown before, and it was all new to them. They just didn't know what to expect. It was the unknown. Obviously, there were families out there waiting to collect. Obviously, he was paired up for the ones who were fortunate to get accommodation, and out there the parents basically treat you as one of your own, as one of their own. Sorry, you know, pay for your meals, drive you to places. If we tell you to be at training at a certain time because it's booked, they'll make sure it's there. And you know, they put you first. And some of the digs that some of the guys were in, I know Jamie and sorry, it wasn't Jamie, it was
Joe,
Jack Bastow and Joe. You know, they pulled the biggest straw, aren't they? Really, because wow, they were living in a World Series winner, but
baseball, yeah.
And you know, he's got rings from winning the World Series with the LA Dodgers and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, you know, mansion got like a west wing to themselves and a swimming pool and a basketball court and stuff. And it was just from that side of things. But on the football side, you know, we left a year to the day, and we flew over, and we basically had to get your jet legs out of here quite soon, really, because we had a training session straight away, which we had Lee and myself had the session planned out for you, and one guy came across, and the story is, and my dad, who listens to the podcast, he always used to go on about this Tony Colvecchio.
Yeah.
And what happened was there's about 18 different pitches at this complex. We get put on pitch 13, half pitch, and there's going to be another team on the other half. Well, this guy turns up. We've set up a session for you, ready to get going. He's walked across, and he's like, all right, lads, English accent. I'm Tony Colvecchio. I'm running the 16s across here. Do you want a scrimmage? Which, for people who don't know what a scrimmage is, it means a game. And I was like, hold on a minute, Tony Colvecchio, you're the geezer my dad's always on about. And so, of all the places, I actually met this guy, and you know, I got his number and stay in touch. But you know, it's surreal. It's a surreal moment, and obviously, you ended up playing a game, which. Finn, do you want to talk us about it?
Well,
talk us about it.
But ball goes up to Wilco. I think he was trying to flick it on, but he's got 50p here, so it went straight up in the air. About 30 yards out, it's dropped to me, hit it with the outside of my boot, full volley into the far top corner, and then celebrate like Alan Shearer like that.
Oh, beautiful. The only other sort of one what I can describe it as, it was a bit of like a knockdown and a Gus Poyet volley.
Yeah.
Goaler to Poyet. You know, it was top quality. So that was obviously after the first day of getting there.
Right. Just on that one quickly, I was speaking to someone the other day, and they say that America, you guys will probably have to tell me, because obviously for those who don't know, Wrighty, Finn and Wilco all went to this. I didn't. But he said that American football, they're absolutely crazy for the game. They love the game. They'll live, breathe, eat football. They'll play it as much as they can. And that just proves it, them asking for a game. So what's it like seeing, for all three of you really, what's it like seeing people out there that love, breathe, and just love football?
Well, I remember we might even have been in the airport, and this lady came up to us and said, "Oh, where are you from?" And obviously,
this is after my singing.
The English accent, and we say Boston, and she says, "Oh, Boston, America." We're like, no, the original Boston.
Yeah.
Like,
we
and we had to play football, and then you start talking to her about what you're doing, and Oh, I think my internet went a bit bad there. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. Technology for you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we was talking to this lady about what we were there doing, and they absolutely loved it.
Yeah, they're absolutely crackers for the soccer, as they call it across there. But again, straight into the experience. We then had a showcase match, which was college scouts, which we were expecting college scouts to come and watch. We was at a different complex for that one. So we played SC Del Sol 0-1 because there's that many teams across there, what they have. Ended up being a 1-1 draw. Jack Bastow scoring a nice long-range curling effort. And what I remember fondly about that game, and you two will probably remember it as well, was we had 2 referees.
Oh yeah.
It was bonkers. I've never ever seen it in my life, and they come across to us, and obviously Lee, who worked out in the States, he knew what it was about, and I was nudging and saying, "Gaff, what's he talking about?" And it was basically they'd have one referee covering one half of the pitch and another one on the other half, but they would always stand in like the wide position and just referee from there, so they can call offside and referee it. And I could just it was bonkers, because sometimes when Finn was not diving, he always the foul. They're not seeing it, and we're missing lots of opportunities here to, like you say, Wilco, for what he did in Carr's Grammar for you, to get dead ball situations, because obviously with having Fisher and Cranfield as centre halves, she send them up and they were threats.
But Cranny was top goal scorer, wasn't he?
Yeah, centre half ended up being top goal scorers throughout the tournament, and which says it all. So that's one thing what I actually remember, and obviously that was played in I think we played 20 minutes or something like that. So it was a very grueling tournament. So for the younger kids listening on it, we will hopefully, fingers crossed, look to do things like this year after year, if obviously if it's fundraised right and stuff. Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday you had solid games. Yeah, you had a lot of time. You weren't playing like going to, I don't know, Midlinks tournament across at wherever, or a Whiz Beach tournament as a grassroots team, but they were growing. Obviously you're playing in hot conditions, dry pitches, which that's typical pre-season sort of weather across here for us. Probably not the temperatures wise, but the dry pitches, which it always is blisters, etc. So your first game you played, and you guys can chime in on this one. You played against the Blue Knights Premier, and you won that game 3-1. Did you want to talk about your recollections of the game?
I can't actually remember much. It was all a bit of a blur, really, because I remember turning up. I was like, I can't wait to play on this pitch, because we played it just as the sun was setting, and it was the last pitch before the mountains. And when you look on the video, there's all the mountains there with the purple sky. And I was like, wow, this is incredible, this. And then I remember playing. I don't think I had that great of a game, but it was just another team performance. It was the first game. Everyone stuck together. We needed a win to start the tournament off right. And that was one where Jacko scored in the last minute, wasn't he? Ran like the length of the pitch.
Yeah. I did have it wrote down here. Yeah. So Wilco, you actually scored. You opened the account, and I'm a massive fan of that goal, because I love headed goals. And great play by Nate Stevens on the left, crossed it in, got his cross away, and you came across the near post and glanced it to go far side. Absolute brilliant header. One which obviously Chris Cook, who listens to these, he was very proud of, because he would do the same. And the second one was JG, Gork Roger, free kick. There's a shot from him. Great set piece deliverer, and he swung it in, and Cranny headed it in at the back. And then the third one was just a breakaway goal. JG Jacko broke away and slid it home to send it 3-1. And I just remember the bench piling up, people hitting their heads on gazebos, which you're under. I don't know why. I don't know why some of them were trying to get out of the shade, because it was a night game. The sun wasn't even out. In fact, across Arizona, and you can vouch for this as well. At night, it was so cold. It was cold. You know, it was either extreme weather or really cold, and apparently that's how it is across there. But found out that, and me and Gaffer then started putting extra layers on if we had a night game. So we learned. The next game we played against the Kansas Rush, which was obviously the game that we lost. We lost 1-0. Can you remember any key points in that game, fellas?
The Italian ref sending Jacko off.
That's on my notes. Anything else?
that pitch was probably the worst pitch we played on. It was so hot that it was brown, but because there was so many games played on it, it was like mushed up as well. It was the weirdest thing, because if you passed the ball on it, because it was so hard and flat, if it bobbled from the start, it will bobble for the whole of the pass. It's not going to bobble and then even out. And it was a test for the whole team. Yeah,
obviously we had some key moments, and again, it might sound like excuses all the time, but it wasn't, because we lost ultimately. But obviously we lost Cranny after less than 5 minutes, you know, and you know that was another lesson we had to quickly learn, you know, because we was playing at altitude. He actually had he started having an asthma attack, which obviously really panicked him. You know, I'd never seen a solid centre half, you know, he got quite emotional about it, which is quite sad to see. Wilco, you got injured in that game, which again,
I remember this.
Yeah,
my back. Yeah,
you got injured, so you was obviously trying to get treatment to get back out, but it just wasn't meant to be. We had, as you said, Finn, you touched on the Italian ref who gave us time to the tournament, but he wasn't meant to referee our game. He was meant to.
Don't tell that. It will really annoy me.
Yeah, and it's just.
Just say, Wrighty, nothing against this Italian referee if this video somehow finds its way to him.
No, but it was a scenario where what they do across their cookie is they do subs on the fly. It's called. So basically, it's just a quick changeover. And what had happened was we wanted to make a sub and they wanted to stop the game. And it was like, hold on. And we said, hold on, I thought it was on the fly. But what happened was their lad just walked straight onto the pitch with a bib. He got a bib on. But what happens, that person has to leave. So we was actually playing a time, like, I don't know, 45 seconds to a minute, where they actually had 12 players on the pitch, because this guy got on and it was all in the centre of the park and he couldn't see who he was meant to give this bib to. And Jacko simply said to the referee, and you know, Jacko being Jacko, it might have been put in a different way. He kindly told him that there was 12 players on the pitch. So he got his first yellow card from that. I then spoke to the ref, you know, very professionally, to see what the crack was. And he says, the yellow card does not count. Well, I was like, okay, right, that's fair enough. But then Jacko makes a challenge. It wasn't even a challenge. There was two players running side by side, and he got ahead of him and kicked the ball out for a corner. Went to stand on the post, what was his job. The referee goes across to him because the lad had fell over because he couldn't put his brakes on. But Jacko got in front. There was no contact made, but the lad fell over. He gave him a second yellow. So it was down to 10 men, and obviously, ultimately, we conceded. But that's my recollection of the game. I don't know whether, obviously, if you can remember it, how it went down. It was very frustrating. Yeah. I remember that. And, you know, third game we had El Paso, Texas, a team from there. And we won 1-0. Do you know who scored that? Do you want to have a guess, boys? 1-0?
Cranny?
No, the other one.
Fisher.
Fisher. Yeah. Fisher scored. which ultimately, with the system, what they played in that tournament, ultimately made out that we came third. So, we've been there 5 days. You've had 2 friendlies and 3 games back to back, and these are 90-minute matches, by the way. So it's very grueling on you. And then we got to the stage where we played third place playoff game, which was an 8 o'clock kickoff in the morning. And we played Rio Rapids from New Mexico. And can you remember the score in that one, boys?
4-0?
No. Wilco?
I was going to say 3.
No, it was actually 5-1. 1-0 up Cranny header, 2-0. It was an own goal from Nate Stevens, though I'm looking back through the WhatsApp, Wilco, and someone has actually put in that you scored, but I think it was an own goal. And
No, I scored. No, I scored, right. Yeah, I scored. If I'm closer to the ball, it's my goal.
Previous goal foul. So 3-0 half time was Will Jackson's goal. 4-0 was the JG Screamer from 35 yards out. 5-0 was Cranny's header from a Basto corner, and then it was, unfortunately, we didn't get the cleano. It was 5-1 in the end. So what was the highlights of it? The football's the football. It's grueling, but overall, what did you take away from that experience? Experience of a lifetime.
I'll let Wilco answer because he was buzzing.
Oh, what would that take away? I felt like it changed my personality to some extent. The pressure of playing and in the States, being away from my family, being away from the people that had supported me, with really only Finn being my proper close mate that we were there with, and I realised that I could actually do that for myself, and that I was so much more self-sufficient than I realised that I was. And so for me, it was a life-changing experience.
What about you, Finn? Because obviously you stayed with a family friend, and obviously Wilco was there as well. But,
yeah.
And did you and Wilco discuss that to wear the same bucket hats and stuff?
I've written this down in my thingy. They're Kevin and Perry. They brought us a lot closer. What
would you take away from it, mate? Because obviously I know you was buzzing, and it's something that you probably look to do it in the future down the line.
Yeah, I think my independence through that period came out in bucket loads, because I was with Wilco, and Wilco hadn't really had one of them experiences before, being away from his family, and I've been away from my family not quite a bit, but I've done it before, so I sort of knew what it was going to come. So I needed to. I sort of felt like obliged to Wilco to sort of make sure he was getting on all right. And I think playing football every day and having that focus on I'm here and I was Arizona, but I still got the football, which is so physically and mentally demanding over that time.
Yeah.
I sort of learned a lot over that time how to focus and get what I want independently, as well as achieving something within a team. Because whilst we were there, you had the scouts which you needed to impress, and you had to make sure you were shining individually as well as a team.
Yeah, and obviously the schedule. Was there any time where you woke up and you're like, "Oh, I am tight, but I'm gonna have to play through the pain barrier," or was it just something that became the norm near the end of it?
I think on because we played the 2 friendlies after the first tournament game, that I was really feeling it with the heat as well. 'Cause it wasn't probably the brightest idea, but me and Wilco decided to walk up a mountain on one of the days. So we were there about an hour before we were supposed to be kicking off, and we were there with the foam roller guns and the metal bars, like, and it was a tough ask, but it was worth it.
Yeah, obviously same for you, Wilco. I'm guessing not the brightest idea going up a mountain before a game.
I remember we turned up and Wright, you asked us, "Oh, what have you lads done today?" And we were like, "Oh yeah, just went up the second highest mountain in Arizona." And you were, "Before a game, lads, before a game." And we're like, "Yeah,
Do it after."
I can laugh about it now.
fine,
At the
we'll be
time, I was thinking, oh boys, you just. But no, it's all about the experience. Looking back now, hey, at least you got to the mountain, and I think it was the day we lost, was it, or not? Or was that the first tournament game?
That was the first tournament game.
Oh, that was all right then. No wonder it was a blur for you. You was at altitude. Right. No wonder it's a blur. So yeah, obviously, I just want to say a massive thank you. Obviously, it is a year on, and a massive thank you to Darren North, Chris Cook, Mick Small, and I know Glenn Madison. He came out as well as part of the committee. So a big thank you to all of them, because they played a vital part, and to experience that with them as well. It was just, again, it was a sweet experience. So a massive thank you to them once again for giving the boys an opportunity of a lifetime. Obviously, I said about Chris Cook. With you, Wilco, that header, I think Cookie, because I'd already sort of prepped him because I was staying at the Villa with him. I said, "You'll like this Wilco kid." I said, and he'll always refer to you as Tom. He won't call you Wilco. And you had that picture at the end because he was constantly watching you. It was like player cam on Sky, your movements and everything. And he could really relate. So how was that for you, especially when knowing that he was there watching?
Yeah. It's obviously a Boston United legend doing what he's done for the club. To still have that contact with him now and just to have sort of getting advice from him and little tips about it's brilliant.
Yeah. We're hoping that Chris Cook can help you with BT Internet as well, Tom. I think I'm sorting out. So,
is he not very good?
Basically, special bond legend, looking out for you, and he's always there for you if you ever want any advice. Just hit him up on Twitter, and I'm sure he'll message you back. And obviously Darren was out there because his boy Jake was in goal, so he was always watching him. And Glenn and obviously Mick was watching all of you. Glenn obviously being an ex-manager himself for teams and ex-player. I know for a fact we used to get back to the Villa and we just used to sit and we used to go to bed so late because we'd just be constant, a bit like we do now, just talk football and reminisce old days of when they were playing. And
I remember,
and honestly, it was so spot on, and that's my fond memories of it. Getting just talking football and just having a great time with a great bunch of blokes, and obviously experience with you and you guys. And Lee mentioned this in the notes to your parents. You was actually a credit when you was out there, the whole team, not just you two. The whole team, from the aeroplane staff, giving props to the behaviour on there, because they see large groups of people and they're just, you just imagine it going, oh no, this is going to be one flight from hell type thing. But it was always really respectful. You were to the families out there. They came up to tell us how fantastic you all were, and it's great because we can then send it back to the parents, and the parents are proud of you. And overall, we was just immensely proud of everyone and what they achieved across there. Go on, Finn, you was going to say something, sorry.
I was going to say, I remember me and Wilco turned up early for one of our games. I think it was like a 2 or 3 o'clock kickoff, and we turned up and we saw you and Leon on the side of the pitch. And like, "Are you here early, aren't you?" And you're like, "We've been here since 8 o'clock in the morning. Been watching every game."
me and Lee, because we wanted to get a head start and not trying to come across like absolute saints across it, but it was non-stop. It was relentless. We say 8 o'clock in the morning. Mitch, it was like, eat your breakfast, we're out, we're gone. We're pitch side. And he used to tell me not to wear any Boston stuff or anything. So we was like the 2 worst undercover people ever. Like, it was like, do you want us to wear like cameras around our neck and look like tourists? Because people would come up and they would just sense that you're coaches, and they'd give you like a squad list about people. So I actually knew rosters, what they call it across there, and they thought we was college scouts looking at these teams to take people on. They said, "What colleges you're from?" I was like, "We're meant to look like tourists, bitch," and we're not college tutors or college scouts. So it was a funny experience.
Right, please tell me you and Lee had them like Men in Black blackout glasses on. You have on in that picture when you're.
You know what? I think we did. I think we did put shades on, but they still sourced us out. And in the end, it was like, what was we doing? We just used to go in our normal stuff in the end, just to try and gain an advantage. But that's football for you. So again, obviously, thank you to the committee and for both of you talking about the experience. And we're just going to wrap it up with obviously the pathways that you've come. I know both of you do a bit of refereeing on the sides, which earns you a nice little bit of money, because obviously referee shortages nowadays. Tom, you do a bit of coaching as well, I believe, at the same time.
Yeah.
You started at 3 years old at Cars. How do you find that?
So I love coaching. I'm hopefully going to be going off to Norwich in September for university to become a PE teacher. So,
Good.
So yeah, it sort of goes hand in hand with that.
That's a spoiler that Wilco's just announced that leaving. We didn't know about that. Say hi to Barkey. He might be a 3rd year, I think. Jensen Barkey, remember him, Finn?
Played with him, when I was at 16.
I'm sure he's at Norwich. So I know away from Boston United, Finn, you've had many a club for a young man like yourself, because you go where you're going to get minutes, because that is vital for your development. So you've played for Horncastle, Boston Town, currently at Pinchbeck. Currently signed at Pinchbeck. Tom, you're playing Links League. You've been at Wibberton, haven't you? Wibberton, and obviously Bourne was on the cards, but obviously with all the COVID stuff has sort of hampered that. You played locally for Fullbeck. Anyone's listening from Fullbeck, I was the coach at Leverton that day when you got Marlon Harewood in as a ringer and absolutely tore my team apart. It was one game, Marlon Harewood, ex-Premier League player, has played in Boston Saturday District League, and he played against my team, Leverton. So we'll never forget it. But again, a great experience for the lads who are involved. So because you're a current crop now, I would say about to the guests about any advice you'd give to the younger players coming on. You're there now. So what would you say? Would you, obviously, Finn, would you say if you get rejected, keep trying? Wilco, you might talk about the latter stage of development. What would be the piece of advice you'd give to the 14s, 15s, 16s coming up?
I would say play every minute that you can, and to take everything on the chin. And whatever people say negative about you, use it to fuel yourself, because it makes everything that you do good seem even better.
Yeah. Quality. And Wilco?
I would say, even if someone tells you in whatever walk of life this is, that you're not good enough or you're not what they're looking for, ignore them and do what you want to do. Go about it how you want to do it, because if you're driven enough to get somewhere and you want it hard enough, believe in yourself and you'll get there.
So thanks, big massive thank you to Finn and Wilco for being on the podcast off script with us today. I just want to give obviously another thank you out to obviously the committee members that made the American trip possible, which was Darren North, Chris Cook, Mick Small, and a big, massive thank you to Katie North as well for sorting out all the flights for the boys. You know, an experience of a lifetime for all the kids. So thank you once more. Anything from you, Cookie?
Yeah, absolutely top class. Thanks to you two for coming on, for giving us your time. Been a brilliant insight to your trip in Arizona and how you've all come through the football. Just a reminder, guys, I'm sorry to keep plugging it, but these podcasts are brought to you on behalf of saying thank you to the NHS and the Boston United Community Foundation. So if you do want to go and support either of them to get, yet again, like help with the trips to like Arizona, then do go and support them as much as you can. But yeah, thanks, Wrighty, again. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.